It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a very good show for you today. If you're wondering about the gold, it is simply to basically annoy Kelly Holcomb. It bothered him so much yesterday, Billy's Murray State gold, that I decided to go into the mothballs, find a little gold, and see if I could annoy Kelly a little bit. Kelly, how are you?
Gosh, George, really? Did you wear that last night at the game?
No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
That game kind of, I don't know, man. I was watching it some, and I'll have to ask Gee about it. But like, what was Cody Glass doing? He knew he was interfering with the goalie, right?
Oh, I don't know. You're talking about on the goal that got wiped away.
Yeah, the interference. Yeah, they got wiped away. That the interference. I mean, he was there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
In the heat of battle, who knows?
Right.
What goes on and all that kind of stuff. But it was a bad loss. As I had mentioned yesterday, the Kings are one of the teams that they're competing with for positions 7 and 8. Now, it's not like it ends their season, which, by the way, has a week and a half All-Star break. But it's not a good loss at all.
No, didn't I hear last night that the Kings were like, they've only won 2 of their last 16 games or something like that? Is that true?
I don't know. Is that true?
No. What was that, Kelly?
Said they've won 2 of their last 16. You might be right. They've fallen.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it really?
Oh, wow.
Wow. Not good.
My goodness.
So continuing not good, I went home when it was over and watched the second half of the Vandy Auburn game. And we're going to get into some deep, deep discussion at 3 p.m. with Ron Bargatze. If you are a Vanderbilt basketball fan, you need to be watching today at 3.
Big
yeah, I watched that game a little bit too, George. They don't have anybody that can score consistently. It doesn't look like, man. Golly, I don't know. Auburn's pretty good too. I think Auburn's pretty good, but yeah, it's not the Vanderbilt of old when I was growing up that could win games. It's just not there anymore.
It's a mid-major roster, and if you remember, Kelly, I said that I would have fired Jerry Stackhouse after the San Francisco game in the non-conference, which seemed a little extreme, I admit. However, it was very apparent to me that he has saddled them with a mid-major roster. It's what it is. You got 2 SEC caliber guards and really not much else of anything. And it's just inexcusable that they're in this position of this kind of a roster. Any moron could look at that team within a couple of games and say, it ain't going anywhere.
He can out-coach him.
Yeah, I'm not James Naismith by any stretch, but, I've been around the block a few times. They don't have any D1 talent other than the 2 guards.
Yeah, it's suspect for sure. That's correct.
So let me ask you this. I get home last night and I see the story where the Boston College coach, Jeff Hafley, I think is his name, the head football coach resigns to take the defensive coordinator job in Green Bay. Okay, now, I could be totally wrong about this. I don't know the guy. I don't think I've ever met him. But this screams of, get me the hell out of this college mess.
Dreams. That's exactly like, why would you? Of course, I know that you want to get to the National Football League, but you're a head coach in the college, so your next deal is to go to the pros. But like, absolutely, like I think that you're going to have more guys do that if they're able to. Because what's going on now in college football, we talk about it all the time, and I know people get tired of hearing me say that, but like it's totally changed the landscape of college sports. And I would not want to be a coach in it. I would not want to have to deal with all that collective stuff. I would not have to, go out. I know they're not raising money, but they've got to be involved some way. And I just, you got kids when you ask them to come for a visit. Now you got kids on the phone telling the coach, "Hey, how much are you going to give me just to come on campus?" Like, what are we doing? Like, I can understand why Saban gave it up. I can understand why this coach does it. Now he can just worry about getting players. They're going to get the contract issues settled in the front office. I don't have to deal with that. Now I'm just coaching football. And as a head coach in college football, I mean, it's gotten preposterous. It's crazy. I don't know how you do it, George. I really don't.
I liked the way Wes Durham put it yesterday, and I'm going to start using this. A lot of these coaches didn't sign up for this.
No, absolutely not.
They signed up for a different model, and this one is radically different, and a lot of them are running for cover. The first one that I remember that I am absolutely convinced did it for this reason was Jay Wright at Villanova. By the way, take a look at Villanova. They ain't anywhere near the old Villanova under Jay Wright. I'm convinced he was the first to run for cover.
He had some foresight into it, that's for sure, man. That guy is a really good basketball coach. Won a couple of national championships with Villanova, won a lot of games, but like he saw what was coming. He saw how the NCAA was conducting itself, and he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to get out way before they started.
Billy.
Yep.
What's going on in the update? We have an update, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. How do you feel about annoying Kelly with the gold?
I like it.
Do you?
George, how old is that?
It's whatever year the Preds hosted the All-Star game. See that emblem? That was their All-Star emblem. It's been 6-7 years ago.
That's the second question. The second question I've got for you is, who gave that to you?
Well, all season ticket holders got one of these.
Okay.
Yeah. So go.
I knew you weren't going to go out and buy
Go
it.
go shove it.
Well, the Titans have a new receivers coach. They just, as the latest hire they made, of course, we're going to get into Denard Wilson, the new defensive coordinator, who's coming over from the Ravens. Tyke Tolbert's coached a lot of good receivers. Ben Troop out of Florida, Anquan Bolden.
Ben Troop is a former Titan.
Lee Evans played for the Bills, and Demarius Thomas, rest in peace. This all of a sudden, Callahan. I mean, these are two pretty. I know most hires are. This is a great hire. It's hard to say this was a disaster of a hire, but
y'all want to hear a funny story about Tyke Tolbert?
Let's hear it. What's it? Where has he been, Kelly?
Denver.
He was on the staff. He was on the staff of the Buffalo Bills when I was there.
Okay.
So we're up there and we're playing, and this is the year that they brought J.P. Lossman in to be the quarterback. And
Tulane.
It was Tulane, and I was backing him up that year. So we were playing the New England Patriots, and it had just snowed, and there was about 6. I don't know. They got the field cleared off, but it was a wet snow. It was nasty. It was cold, and they were drubbing us. I mean, Tom Brady was throwing the ball all over the ballpark, and he was hitting everything, and it was like 56-14, okay? So there was 5 minutes to go in the ball game, and Mike Mularkey, which y'all know Mike Mularkey, he became the head coach down here. Mike Mularkey told Tyke Tolbert to come up and say, "Hey, tell Holcomb to get ready to go in." So Tyke comes up and he goes, "Hey, coach wanted me to tell you need to get warmed up." And I said, "Get warmed up for who?" He's putting you in. I'm like, "Put me in. It's 56-14, man." I said, "I thought this guy was y'all's quarterback of the future. Tell him I'm not going in. And then Tyke's over and goes,
Then they cut
hey,
you
man, don't kill the
4
messenger.
hours later.
You tell Mike Malarkey to come down here and talk to me. I said, I'm not going in this game, man. Like, for what, for who? It's 56-14, man. Now, here's the deal. I've been playing for 12 years already, so I had a little bit of leverage to stand on.
Cachet.
If he cut me, so what? But Tyke went back and told him, and then Malarkey came down there, and he shook his head, and he's like, you're right. I said, yeah, I know I'm right. I'm not going in this game, man. It's cold. I hadn't done anything for 3.5 quarters, and you're going to try to get me to go on a 56-14 blowout? No thanks.
Nice attitude.
That's probably why I didn't last too much longer, Billy.
It could be. It could be that, and maybe Malarkey wore gold, and you pissed you off.
Oh, man. Well, we got other news.
Commanders
have hired Dan Quinn as their new coach. So I think we think about Seattle. We had thrown Seattle out there, but it looks like he's going to land in the Commanders organization, and good luck to him.
God bless him, because he's going to need it.
He's got to find.
I guess the first thing they got to figure out is Sam Howell really their guy?
That's what you got to find out, man. That's what everybody if you don't have the guy under center, I've said it, this is my 101st time. If you don't have the guy under center, you don't have much. Let
me ask you this. Do you think, because I'm a Sam Howell fan, I thought he got beat down toward the end of the season. Do you think he can be that guy?
Me personally, yeah. I mean, I think he can. You got to get pieces around him, though, and you got to be able to protect him. If you can do that and you give him an honest evaluation of the process, then yeah, I think he could. But like, you've got to get people around him before you can evaluate that.
This just in on Pro Football Talk.
This just in.
Yep. So Ryan Grubb, who just got hired to be Alabama's offensive coordinator from Washington, he might already be headed back to the state of Washington, but this time as the Seahawks offensive coordinator. So,
wow.
I mean,
I didn't think you were supposed to do that to Alabama.
Not the same Alabama.
Boy.
That's we're gonna have to learn, and it's gonna be weird. This is not the same Alabama.
His Tide Pride Club membership just expired. Tide Pride.
George, you mentioned did you bring up the Brad Bohannon thing earlier?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so Brad Bohannon, former Alabama baseball coach, has been sanctioned in this betting scandal that we had already talked about. Basically, he was fired in May, failed to participate in the NCAA's investigation into suspicious betting, and the NCAA found that he violated wagering and ethical conduct rules and received a 15-year show cause order. So he ain't coaching anytime soon.
15, I believe, is the all-time high.
Yeah, Donnie Tyndall had a 10-year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
For no good reason.
And he may have violated the Harley Smooth Tariff Act. Don't they bring that up in Ferris Bueller, something about the Harley Smoot Tariff Act?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, look it up.
I don't even know what Ferris Bueller is, George. Like, look it up. YouTube.
I've seen Ferris Bueller.
You've seen the movie.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be quick with these references on it.
Well, it's when they go in the classroom, when the guy goes.
How many times have you seen it?
Blank economics, voodoo How many times have I seen it? Probably 50. Hilarious.
I've probably seen it 30 as well.
I mean, it doesn't say a lot for me that kind of movie gets in over like Dr. Zhivago or some of the great works of our world. But Animal House and Ferris Bueller are two movies I've really enjoyed.
You have to watch them. When they're on, you got to watch them.
Let my Cameron go.
All right. Auburn last night, we already talked about it.
Yeah,
throttled Vandy.
It was an ass whipping.
81-54. Florida beat Kentucky at Rupp.
Yeah.
They are not happy up in the Commonwealth.
Oh, no. This is the flag is at half staff today up there. So help me with this. Florida, I was at the hockey game. Florida hit a 3 basically to send it to OT.
Yep.
And Calipari did not
foul up 3.
Oh, my God.
And they are pissed.
So they've started impeachment proceedings?
Yeah.
Will they have a decision before the Tennessee game? You know, more and more teams are fouling.
Almost every time I watch.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
But it was 10 years ago, there weren't. There's been a real switch in that. So he allowed it to happen at Rupp, and they went nuts.
Yep.
Yeah. The Commonwealth is a blaze.
Disarray.
It's in a
but they'll be on cloud nine.
I can't believe they lost at home, though, George.
Oh, they've lost at home a lot under Calipari, actually. I saw a comparison.
No, in recent years, early on, they never lost.
Yeah, but in the last 5 years under Calipari, they've had a lot of these losses to unranked teams where you go, how in the world did that happen?
This will come up at the impeachment hearing.
Because they got all these one-and-done dudes. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know that this team is as good as we thought they were.
We'll know by the end of Saturday night.
I think Tennessee might win that game.
Well, I'll say this. That place will be an absolute madhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And if Tennessee quiets it down and wins going away,
it's going to get dicey.
Yes.
Alabama last night overcame a huge deficit. I don't know exactly. They were down
19-4 at one point.
Down by a lot, but they come back and win, and they're now 7-1 in the SEC, and they're at the top. Arkansas finally got an SEC win. It was actually their second, but they beat Missouri, who was 0-8, setting up a matchup of the century Saturday with Vanderbilt.
Here.
Boy.
So that will be fun. Lastly, what was that?
I said, will there be sections available at Memorial Gym?
Yeah, maybe.
Would you like the third deck, the second deck?
Yeah, pick your deck.
How are we doing this? Are we done?
No, I wanted to.
Got one more.
On a somber note, Mike Martin, legendary Florida State baseball coach, has passed away. He was still coaching up until fairly recently.
How old was he?
He was 80, I want to say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Hate to hear that.
Yeah, wanted to get that out there. Prayers out to him and his family.
Okay, after the break, Mark McGee, formerly known on this show as Gee. Gee will join us. A little Predator talk. Then some Titans talk. We now have a new defensive coordinator under Brian Callahan. And then at 3 o'clock, we'll get knee-deep into the Vandy mess. It may take a while. Stay tuned.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to Donley Timmons.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Last night was a tough night over at Bridgestone Arena, made even tougher if you think back 2 years ago. David Riddick, who was the Kings goaltender last night, as a Predator, he couldn't stop a damn beach ball. When UC got hurt at the end of the season and they had to play Riddick, it was bad. Last night, he stood on his head. He was pretty good, and the Kings came away with a win. And let's say hello to Mark McGee, who joins us for his weekly Predator visit. Gee, where did that come from?
You stole my thunder. I was going to say he couldn't have stopped me last year when he played for the Predators, much less a puck. I don't know. He stopped 40 shots last night. He's still a good question mark as far as the goaltending goes for the Los Angeles Kings. I mean, the fact they have to play him is it's from time to time shows what kind of problems they have in a goaltending situation. But yeah, he was amazing. Of course, the Predators missed at least four posts I counted last night, and so he had some luck as well.
They hit everything but the Sounds foul pole in route to this. They were not particularly lucky in that respect. But Guy, there were a couple of things that hit me as the night went on, and I want to see if you buy any of this or don't buy it. Number one, as much as any team out there, they look like they need this all-star break.
Yes, they do. And I think some of the younger players are a little tired. That someone haven't played this long a season before, and I think it's wearing on them a little bit. Some of them, from a confidence standpoint, are having some issues. So I think it's going to be a good break for them from that standpoint. And they're still learning. I mean, Andrew Burnett came in here to supercharge the offense and pump up the power play, and he's done some of that. But like last night, like I said, they hit everything except the Sounds foul pole, but they shot the puck a lot. I think Andrew said they shot the crap out of it. They just wouldn't go in. And so they're doing a lot of that. That's happening a lot. They're shooting the puck a lot, but it's just not going in. And so I think these guys need a little bit of a break to kind of retool and regroup and it's taken a while for them to adjust to Brunett's style, and it's 50-something games in the season, and I mean, and but they should be by now, but they're still struggling to really fit his style of play the way he wants it to be played, and they still, they start out okay last night, but they make mistakes in some of the most crucial situations, and I think a lot of that comes from just not knowing exactly what they're doing, what they're supposed to do at every moment.
So give me some thoughts at a point where everybody gets to sort of, decompress a little bit and kind of analyze where they are. It seems to me at the moment that if we're being honest, they have a little less than a 50% chance right now of getting to the playoffs. Should Barry Trotz be thinking, let's go get something to help those? Or is this much more a look, this is the beginning, next year, the year after, way more important?
This could go either way. At one time, Barry was saying, trade UC Soros? No way. It's not even the picture. Don't talk about it. Now, Pierre LeBrun, who's one of the national talking analysts and knows what's going on, he's saying that now the Predators are willing to listen to possible trade proposals for Soros, who's now having his worst season ever as a pro. But, so they're waiting. So they are saying now, tell us what you can do for us. But it's going to have to be a huge package, and it can't be first-round picks, number 20 or 25 in the first round. It's got to be high first-round draft picks, teams that can give them. And most of those teams, they're going to want Soros. They're going to be lower in the pecking order as far as first-round picks go. But maybe they can string together a couple of years of first-round picks. It's going to be a big, big bundle. And it's going to have to be prospects. It's going to have to be draft picks. It might be a veteran player, especially a scorer, that could help them on the top four lines, and maybe even a good offensive defenseman. It has to be a heck of a package.
Do you think they're more committed to the Russian kid than they are UC?
I think the question is the goal mouth big enough for Soros and Yaroslav Askarov? So I mean, is it that's two talented players? I mean, Askarov's won 9 in a row right now in the AHL, and the Admirals have won 10 in a row. So that so he hasn't Askarov hasn't lost since December 17th. So he's mowing them down. He's stopping everything in the AHL from that standpoint. So I think you got to look at it. Right now they have Soros on a bargain basement price at $5 million a year, and they've talked of extending him this summer. That extension is going to be a whole lot more than $5 million, though he hasn't really played that great this season. So, but if they're serious about keeping him, it's going to have to be a large extension. So, how much is he worth now from that standpoint? But I think Askarov, the thing about it is, Askarov, you could trade him, but he's not going to have quite the package that Soros will, because Askarov has really not proven himself at the NHL level yet. So they'll get some nice return for him, but not what they would get with UC going from that standpoint. And there are a lot of teams that need goaltenders right now. A lot of teams. The team who played last night, the Los Angeles Kings, Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils, Toronto Maple Leafs, all those pop up as possible places for a goalie to land at the trade deadline. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And right now, with the team the way it is right now, you got the Blues tied with the Predators at 54. You got the Kings now at 56. Got the Kraken at 52. The Flames at 49. They're pretty much said we're out of it. They've started trading people, and I think they're going to have they're going to start selling off people pretty well here. They're pretty much feel like they're done. Coyotes are still sticking around a little bit. I don't know what could happen there, but and the Wild, I think, is pretty much out of the picture now as well. So so it's going to be Blues, Preds, Kings, and Kraken battling for those playoff spots right now. So like I say, it's a 50-50 chance. But what does Barry do? Does Barry go ahead like we talked last week? Does he say, okay, we're probably going to be the number 7 or number 8 wild card, and we may get we may get past the first round, but probably not. So how much do we bet if we grab another player or two to help us right now as a rent-a-player type thing? How much do we bet on that? I don't know what he does. Is it become a buyer or seller? He's really in an odd situation right now with that. I think what happens in the first 5 games or so after the All-Star break are going to decide what he's going to do from that standpoint.
Okay, so give me a real quick answer. I want to turn this to Kelly. So you don't think a trade will come during this 10-day kind of dead period?
It could. The Flames have already made a move, and a couple other teams are getting close to making moves. It could happen, but I think he's got. I think he's got to look at the situation. What does he want to do? Because they are in striking distance of a wild card spot. It could happen, and they could go on a run from that standpoint. And but they've got a lot of unrestricted free agents that they could unload right now for depth players and maybe lower draft picks. Nothing real exciting about the trades. They got Tyson Berry, who wants out. Got Jakob Trenin, who probably should be out. You've got Alexander Carrier. Yeah, could go either way. They need to keep Novak around for sure, and then you got Kevin Lankinen, goaltender, who's also available. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent. And you've got Kiefer Sherwood, who also is going to be an unrestricted free agent as well. So those are all possibilities. Michael McCarron, those are all possibilities for trade situations, and it could help maybe with the salary cap.
Kelly, say hello to Guy.
Guy, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Kelly Holcomb?
Not much, man. Hey, so if the goalie's out of the way, what other weakness do you think they have on the team? Like, well, if you're talking about a trade, where would they go other than goalie?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. What'd you say?
I said, other than goalie, what do you think their biggest? I don't. I'm just not getting used to this. So y'all talked about the goalie and him not having him having probably his worst year yet. They're probably obviously not happy with that. But what is their next weakness on the team, you think?
Well, I think they need another scorer. They need another scorer for sure, and they need a defense. They could use another defenseman that also has some offensive skills.
Okay, so Coach Burnett in his press conference today, he was talking about, I like the way we're skating. I like, we've had some hard time. It's been a hard month. He talked about, some of the details, some of the little details that they're not getting. And, I know you can't speak for Coach, but what do you think some of those small details that they're not doing that's causing them not to win games right now?
Well, they're shooting a lot, but they're not shooting on net as well as they should. Shots on goal doesn't necessarily mean you're shooting at the net really well. So they need to be more precise on what they're doing from that standpoint. Also, their forecheck gets a little sloppy at times, and they're defensively, they've been okay. They haven't been the defensive team they usually are. But I think a lot of that is pressure on those defensemen to be more offensive in their approach to the game. So they've got to adjust to that. They've got to be more than just defenders. They've got to also look at it from an offensive standpoint. And the scoring depth is just not. It wasn't one time, but not lately. After the first line or two, they're not getting a lot of production right now. So they need to work on that as well. But a lot of it has to do with just it's a wide open offense. And there's all kinds of ways to make mistakes in it. You've got to know where you are, what you're doing the whole time. And they've got to be always aware. And I don't think they're always aware. And I don't think sometimes they play like, why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing? And I think they've got to get more consistent from that standpoint. They've got to really, really be aware of where they're on the ice and what's going on around them.
So those line shifts, man, is like you've got to be really organized with those line shifts last night. And just me watching a little bit last night, I saw where the Turcotte got his first goal for the LA Kings, but it came on a line shift where it looked like guys were out of position. Is that one of those little details that sometimes they're not doing as well?
It happens a lot. Line shifts. Lots of times that's when goals are scored right at the end of a power play situation or or a shorthanded situation, but also in line shifts in general. That's when that can happen. And Turcotte got his first goal and also had his first assist last night ever.
Okay, so my last deal is, and I was watching. Of course, my old self went to sleep on the game, and I woke up at the end of it. But the Cody Glass situation where he interfered with the goalie, like, explain that to me. Like, he knew he was doing that. I mean, obviously they had a goal scored on it, and they got goalie interference. But like, when they showed the camera on him, he acted like he was surprised. But it's one of those situations where he knew what he was doing. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely a sample. I mean, there's only a certain amount. The goaltender's protected that crease, and you can't touch them. And everybody knows that, and so but I think it was an incidental thing or whatever. But it wasn't that way. So, but that's where they're protected for sure. So my philosophy is always if they get out of the goal crease, they're open game for anybody to take a hit at them. But once they're in the crease, they're pretty much protected.
Gee, let's see what happens. This 10-day off thing, I'm hoping will be good for this team. And I really appreciate your coming on, taking the time to yap all this.
That's fine. I mean, it's interesting. That's going to be what happens in this period of time. Sometimes teams come back. Right now, they've been the greatest opponent for teams. They helped the Oilers extend their win streak, and they go all the way to Ottawa on that long trip, and then get all the fans in Ottawa now excited because they beat the Predators and then they won the next game. So they feel like even though they're 17 points out, they feel like now the Centers are now revived from that standpoint because of it. So then they give the Kings a huge win last night. It puts them a little bit ahead of the Predators in the playoff situation. And people forget the Kings were considered to possibly be the Pacific Division winner this year, and they started out hot, and then things kind of went crazy for them. This was only their third win in 17 games. So a lot of people feel like they're going to come back after the break, rejuvenated and ready to go, and possibly pick up the way they were the first of the year. So it's going to be an interesting. Like I said, I think the first 5 or 6 games after the break are going to really decide what Barry Trotz does. But I don't think I think he's going to have to look at a lot of different things.
Amen. Gee, thank you. Good stuff.
I was glad to do it. Thank you. All right.
Mark McGee, kind of telling us how it is. We're going to try to do the same with you after the break. The Titans have a defensive coordinator hired under Brian Callahan. We will talk about that and more when we come back.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458, or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We have breaking news from Billy.
Yes, we do. Beginning in 2025, so next year with Texas and Oklahoma, the SEC will institute a conference tournament format for baseball that will include all 16 teams in a single elimination format. And the top 4 seeds will have a double bye, which I love. I thought double elimination was always too much in the SEC tournament. It was a weird format, and it lasted too long. So I think now you do have 16 teams, single elimination, top 4 get double byes, and that's going to be fun because all of them are in it. A lot of the talk was, do you put all 16 in?
If you do, and you go double elimination, you end at the All-Star game.
Exactly. So they weren't – I think it was either stay at 14 and keep the same format or go 16 and go single. And I'm glad they did this.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So the Titans have hired – hello, George, wake up. The Titans have hired Baltimore Ravens assistant Denard Wilson as their defensive coordinator. He was the Ravens defensive backs coach. What do we think of that hire?
I think that as much as we've talked about DBs in this past year with the Tennessee Titans, I think it's probably a good hire. I mean, anytime you can get anybody off the Baltimore Ravens staff, which obviously Mike McDonald went to be the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks, but for some reason they just breed defense up there. I can remember when I had to play them twice a year, and that sucked because they had Ray Lewis, they had all those guys. They were really good, and for some reason Baltimore's always had a good defensive side of the football, and when you can pluck somebody from there, I think it's good. I mean, time will tell. We'll see how he does as a coordinator, but he's been around, and I think he's been in the league for 15 seasons. He played for the, on the internet it says the Washington Commanders, but he played back in 2003, so that's like the Washington Redskins. So I don't know, George. I mean, we'll just have to see because you don't know too much about him. I mean, he's been a position coach. So we'll just have to see how it translates to being a coordinator and being in control of guys and being in control of game plans and stopping the other team instead of just being a position coach.
Yeah, I'm with Kelly with the DBs. What's been the weak link of the Titans? There's been a lot of weak links, but they have not been able to guard any receivers consistently. I mean, you just see one or two receivers on the other team. Just, I mean, there's a big day from. I mean, how many times do we look at whether it's a Colts receiver, we're saying, man, he's having a big day today. Start him on your fantasy team because the Titans secondary is awful. So I think this is probably a strategic move by Ran. No, I'm not saying this came directly from Ran, but I guarantee you Ran Carthon had a say in this. He is the GM, and for Brian Callahan being an offensive guy, Ran has connections too, and they were together with the Rams. So I think this was probably strategic to say, look, we've been terrible. We need a guy that can come in and teach our DBs how to play. Because it didn't look like, I'm not saying Vrabel's staff didn't do that, but obviously what they were doing wasn't working.
Speaking of Mike Vrabel.
Oh, Kelly was.
Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
George, well, what I was going to say is when you've got a coach that coached against a certain team, they were in the same division, the FC North. So, when you've got a guy that came from Cincinnati, well, a lot of times these new head coaches look to the guys that they had trouble with and the people that are on that staff. And that's a lot of times how they get these coordinators. Well, man, I had trouble with this guy. I want to see if I can get somebody off his staff to bring what they did that caused me a lot of trouble in here to cause other people trouble. So a lot of times that's how that works.
And Denard he's an older guy. I mean, he's not too old, but he's also not, 36 like Callahan, I don't think. But I think that's something he has a more experience than people think.
So let's go to Vrabel for a minute. My guess is he's more than a little surprised that he didn't get one of these openings.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good reputation around the league. Was he damaged at all in this search as, quote, a Belichick Jr.?
Here's the deal, and I've said this before, George. Everybody in this league talks, and I guarantee you, Ran Carthon talked to people. I guarantee you, when somebody was going to interview Mike Vrabel, they called the Tennessee Titans and talked to Ran Carthon and talked to some other dudes in the organization. And I promise you that something was said about that, because I think looking back on the way that ended, that's all that it could have been. I mean, he went in there, and we've said it before, like a bull in a china shop, and like demanded, this is what I'm going to do, because I think he was going to force their hand. I don't think he wanted to be there anymore. I don't think he liked the situation. And I think, you're going to give me my stuff or I'm going to go. And that doesn't sit well with certain people, especially if you're a GM and all these other teams called, because all 32 teams in the National Football League, they're all talking. And they all got friends on each team, and they know somebody in the personnel department, or they know a coach. And I definitely 100% think that happened.
Yeah, and Vrabel came from the Patriots. Like he's gonna that's the mindset. I mean, I don't blame the guy. That's what he was brought up on, and I still bring up a guy like Dan Campbell. I mean, maybe not the Patriot way, but that mold, that mindset of, this is what we're doing. I mean, I still think there's coaches out there that don't want to be controlled by the GM. But nowadays you're seeing, 30-year-old guys getting all these jobs. So they're snatching them up in the kind of the Vrabel Belichick way. Pete Carroll, all these coaches is gone.
So, Kelly, let me ask help me with this, Billy. He got interviewed, we think, Chargers, Atlanta. We heard Seattle, but I never saw anything that indicated that he interviewed with them. So we think 2 places.
Yes.
Okay. So, Kelly, using your thing, they talk.
Yeah.
They all yap. Okay.
Yeah.
And whoever said to him, look, he wants a lot of control, so beware of that going in. In an interview process, wouldn't that come up right at the beginning? Here's what we're hearing led to you being gone at Tennessee. You want to talk to us about it. Tell us your side of it. because we may have some interest in you.
I think absolutely. I think that's kind of probably how that happens. Of course, I've never been in one of those interviews, being a head coach in the National Football League. But yeah, I think you have to air. You have to open up the air in the meeting, and you have to say, "Here's what we heard." I don't know how we want to go about that, but we need to get this out on the table. Is that what you're looking for? And if that's what you're looking for, I'm not sure that we're in that arena right yet. So I can see that happening. I also think, do y'all think that he may go back to New England?
No, I don't. Because it seems to me
they hired Mayo.
Yeah, it seems
Mayo's
to me it was either Mayo or Vrabel.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that in some capacity, maybe as a coordinator, maybe I don't know. Do you think he might be willing to take that, or he's going to say, "Hey, I don't know how many more years he had on his contract, but he can go to Florida and play golf if he wants to for a couple of years because he's still getting paid."
The other thing I thought about, and that could be true, Kelly, but could y'all see Vrabel on TV?
No.
No. I don't see that.
Just you're saying personality-wise, or
I just don't see that being of any real interest to him.
Yeah, and he's still young. I don't know. Part of me thinks I could maybe see him doing that, but he's still got that coaching itch, I would guess.
I can't see Brady doing it either. But they say Brady's going to do it this coming up year. So I remember a long time ago, and I know you remember this, George. I know Billy won't, but when Joe Montana retired, they tried to put Joe Montana on the TV, and he was absolutely awful because he wouldn't pick a side. He didn't like talking about. And I totally understand that. If I was going to do something, I'd like to do something like Peyton and Eli do, where they can do their own thing, and you don't have to pick a side. You don't have to talk, because we all know how hard it is to play quarterback or play in the National Football League, and you don't want to. It's hard getting up there on ESPN and be the Dan Orlovskis of the world, and you got to pick a side. I don't know if I could do that either, but I just don't see Brady doing that. I don't see Vrabel doing that either.
Billy, I'll toss a scenario at you. Okay, let's say he takes the year off. Okay, You with me?
Yep.
If Ryan Day loses a fourth consecutive time to Michigan, Mike Vrabel might be in play in Columbus, Ohio, and last I checked, they don't have a pro football team.
They don't, and they're clamoring for Vrabel. They would love to see Vrabel, although Ryan Day, it's hard to believe him losing to Michigan a fourth straight time. They're going to be pretty darn good.
Believe it. They might.
They do have McCarthy back, and without Harbaugh, I think it'll be tough, but we'll see.
Vrabel want to get into that hornet's nest with all that stuff that we've been talking about, the transfer portal, the NIL. You don't have to deal with that in the National Football League.
Well,
no,
also,
but he had a son who played on the college level recently, Billy, correct?
At Boston College. Yep. So, maybe his son is still in Atlanta, I think. Tyler Vrabel, I want to say. So, I don't know if he'd like to join his son, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Vrabel does.
My gut feeling is he is surprised that he didn't get one of these.
Well, I think it starts with the surprise of being let go too. We talked a lot about how, he wanted out. I don't know how much he really did, but I don't know.
We may
I don't
never
know that. I don't know that we'll never know.
Yeah. Okay. After the break, stat of the day. What's the sport?
Baseball.
Okay. Well, in theory, we got a shot. And not much more than that, a theory. And then Coach Ron Bargatze will join us, and we will go top to bottom of the Vanderbilt mess that ultimately will get Jerry Stackhouse fired at the end of the year.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Top of the hour on a Thursday, Coach B coming up, diving into Vanderbilt basketball. But first, stat of the day, brought to you by John English, Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, we're going baseball. And George, this might be
a little pressure on me.
Yeah, this might be an easy one. After signing with the Cubs last year, Dansby Swanson won his second consecutive Gold Glove Award. Who was the last shortstop to win the Gold Glove Award in consecutive seasons with different teams?
With different teams?
That's not as easy as I thought initially, actually.
No, different teams. Different teams. Wow. It's hard when you're sitting here. All of a sudden, what ought to be obvious never hits you the way it should. Different teams. How many times am I going to say different teams? I am drawing a
George, I can't help you on this one. I'm thinking about the who's the shortstop for the Cleveland Indians a long time ago that went to another. Did he go to another team and win it again, or did he ever win it?
Yeah, from Seattle to Cleveland, and all of a sudden I can't think of his name, but he was a brilliant defensive shortstop. Let's go with him.
Omar Vizquel.
Well done, Kelly Holcomb.
How about it?
I'll tell you one thing. This guy could flat out pick it.
Yeah, I was when I was in Cleveland, man. I hung around him one day. I met him, man. When I was with the Browns. He's not a very big guy, but he was he was a good player.
Man, that you don't see many guys like that anymore. Like Ozzie, what's his last name?
Ozzie
Smith.
Man, you're not seeing as many good as good defenders as those guys.
You'll never see another one like Ozzie. This guy was as close to Ozzie perhaps as anybody's gotten. Omar Vizquel was a stud dog.
Those uniforms make me think of Major League.
Major League. Okay, before we bring Ron Bargatze in, let me make clear a couple of things as we start this discussion. I am not going to sit here and insult people's intelligence with any debate on whether Jerry Stackhouse should be retained or not. He shouldn't. You go 0-7 in the SEC in your 5th year, there's nothing to discuss. Secondly, for where we're going, I'm going to assume that the athletic director, Candace Lee, is not stupid. She's a sharp lady. She's seeing all this. She knows what a disaster this is. As I have said repeatedly in the last couple of weeks, I'm going to assume that she is laying low, staying under the radar, because that's what ADs should do when they're about to make a coaching change. I will throw in this little caveat. If she doesn't do what needs to get done and attempts to retain him, it will eventually cost her her job. That's what I believe, because I think this thing has hit a rock bottom. Let's bring Ron Bargatze to our microphones. Coach B, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, George. And Kelly, how you doing? My new best friend, Kelly Holcomb.
What's up, Coach?
My new best friend, Kelly Holcomb, out of Fayetteville, Tennessee.
That's right, baby. Fayette, Vegas.
So, Coach B, you know where we're going today, and it's going to get a little spicy. I put together what I believe is, I guess you'd call it a job description. What is it Vanderbilt needs to be looking for when they get rid of Stackhouse? Again, I'm going to go with the argument that, look, I'm not going to insult people's intelligence. You know, and I know a change has to be made. Now, let's look at what criteria ought to come up next. The first one, Coach B, is obvious. What they've got right now is a group of mid-majors and 2 guards.
Yeah, well, we know that those 2 guards are the cornerstone of their team, the strength of their team.
And otherwise, there's not much.
No, I would think that you never know, because, first of all, you know, in basketball, having a great point guard is the number one asset, I think, if you had to break it down. Number 2 would be some strength in the paint. And we know that is a huge weakness for this team. And I had mentioned, and I've been watching this because I didn't want to feel like I'd really made some stupid evaluation. But I've been watching. If you did a shot chart on their team and where the points are coming from, they're coming from their guards who get into the paint very well. But look at the other players who can post up on the block and make things happen and make the defense have to really transition to them to give you some opportunities from the perimeter. So right now they're getting a lot of perimeter pressure right now, but they don't have the inside-outside game that has some balance to it. Not many points in the paint outside their guards taking it down in the hole.
Item number 2, I used a big buzzword, externally. I'm not asking the next guy to be Bruce Pearl and paint his chest, but I am asking the next one to get out in the community, speak to Rotary, speak to Kiwanis, because I went Saturday to Thompson Bowling West. Here's what it looked like. If you really zoom in on that picture, it's all orange. The second and third decks of Memorial Gym, wherever you turned, were almost 100% orange. That's embarrassing. that's a real referendum on Jerry Stackhouse. He doesn't seem to care. So what? Soon enough, this will be over with.
He was asked about it after the game and said it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of the tone-deaf Jerry Stackhouse. Let's go to the third of these, which is pretty obvious stuff, Coach B. I hear all this stuff about Jerry Stackhouse is a really good basketball coach, and I've tried to go with that. But the more I watch, I don't see any rhyme or reason to who plays when and where. It's all over the map.
Well, use of personnel is always a fan favorite when it comes to evaluating a coach, and I think Jerry has tried to use different combinations. But look at players. They've got a lot of guys who are mid-major players, and even a couple of those are, I guess, a little bit suspect, and even given that because I've watched a lot of SEC games this year, a lot of Missouri Valley games this year, and a sprinkling of other games. You do not have to go very far to find guys who can really coach the game. And if you took a map of the United States and went about 300 miles wide, let's say from Memphis to the west over to mid-Virginia to the east, and went up and north-south in that geographic area, there are some great Midwestern basketball players. A lot of them show up in the Missouri Valley. Someone needs to go and watch Drake play sometime. When you watch Drake play, you see as good an X's and O's as you'll find anywhere. Very, very good. Very, very solid. A lot of guys who look like coaches' sons playing, where basketball is king. The Midwestern and from that area that I mentioned earlier, and up through Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois, Ohio, there are some really, really great basketball players who have who look like coaches' sons, and I love watching them play. And you'll see a lot of those guys show up geographically in those areas, and they are very, very good, better than we're seeing on the court in Memorial right now.
Number 4 is an interesting one because a year ago, when things really looked their best under Jerry Stackhouse, we got a lot of the players love him, this, that, and the other. The minute the season was over, they hightailed it the hell out of there. And so I think number 4 has become, for them, a real negative. They're losing way more than they're gaining.
Well, that transfer portal and the NIL work hand in glove. The transfer portal is that's the route of changing schools, but also the NIL money on the other end has a lot to do with that. And it's a joke that the NCAA would ever allow these combinations of things to create the movement of players and the changing of what we all have grown up with on on having loyalty in the program, developing players. Now it's where can I get more money? And whether you like it or not, that is the truth.
Number 5 may not be as important to some of you as it is to me and probably to Coach B, but I think we could make the argument, Coach B by a mile, but I could be in contention for second of being as connected to their former players going back 40, 45 years as anybody. And Coach B, these players are pissed. They are angry that this has been allowed to get to this level.
Well, George, you're talking to a guy who sold programs at Vanderbilt basketball games and football games, and a guy who my first love was watching Babe Taylor and Al Rochelle and Bobby Tim and those guys play in the mid 50s, and they were I mean, every waking moment for me was trying to be like one of those guys, number 21, number 23, number 25. That's the number of those three guys who were such a great threesome that helped Bob Polk's team really put Vandy on the map. And then you go from there into Coach Roy Skinner, who I could write a book about, pretty sure, who took the second and third rung players, particularly out of Kentucky and Indiana and in Tennessee, and won 65% of his games in his station, in his period of coaching at Vandy. And then you can go right into the 70s when the F Troop and the Van Bredikoff, Fowler, Ligon, Compton class came in and really lit up the gym, lit up the following. I could also write a chapter in my book about the things I was offered where somebody could get one level down, one level closer to the floor to get their tickets changed. I didn't have any control over that, but the things I were offered would really get your attention. And then you move from there into the Kevin Stallings era, the 88 team that went to Will Purdue's group, how good they were. And then a terrific era of Eddie Fogler, who Vanderbilt lost because of about $40,000, which looks like, well, there's a lot of guys making a lot more than that in the NIL right now. So, if you've got 50 or 60 years tied up in Vandy basketball and what it meant in this community, you're mad, you're upset because there's no way that Vandy should be in the position they're in. And, there's a little bit different key to the kingdom in these last few years on how you do it. But over that 50-year period leading up to the way things are going right now, you had a lot of different ways you did it. You watch Eddie Fogler go to the transfer portal that wasn't very wide portal at that time and come up with Chris Lawson and with Bruce Elder, and put him with a guy named Kevin Anglin, who had all the intangibles in the world as a player, who wasn't even recruited until late in the year, and Vandy didn't go after him until Lang Wiseman changed his mind and went to Tennessee. And then you had, of course, Billy McCaffrey, who was a generational player, a great player, one of the best who ever wore the black and gold. So you can go through all those periods and see why the players and the guys who made those teams great and were in the hearts of the fans around here, and to see a lot of that loyalty and a lot of that enthusiasm and a lot of passion just go away. And that's what's sad for those of us who have 6 decades or so in support of this program.
Number 6 on the surface seems like a cheap shot on my end. However, let me say this. I think it is a terrible optic when a coach on a road trip where you're going to play against somebody, when a coach brings golf clubs, that's a terrible optic. What on God's earth are players thinking when they see that? That can't happen. Not only do I blame the coach for that, but that falls on Candace Lee as well. She knows that's going on. That's inexcusable. And if I sounded a little angry about it, I am. Golf cannot be a priority. This next guy, whoever he is walking into a program that is dead friggin' last in the SEC. It's in the bottom 10 or 12 in America in net ranking. Coach B, whoever gets this job is going to have to work their fanny off.
Well, one thing that's very interesting, if the coach changes and at some point over the past 25 years, there are a lot of times in that period where this will be a plum of a job. Is it a plum of a job now? I don't know what Vanderbilt does in their NIL. I don't know that much about players transferring. There have been some good transfers at Vandy over the years. And I know I've heard mentioned that was an area that Vanderbilt was falling way behind in. Well, they've got to get up to the times or they're not going to be able to compete, because they can recruit better basketball players than are in the program right now.
Let's go to the 8 names. Not that these are the end-all, be-all, but these 8 have to be in a discussion as we start February. And again, let me make this clear. I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence with a debate on what needs to get done. We all know what needs to get done. He needs to be gone at the end of the year. Now let's talk about 8 people who could be in that mix. Dusty May, at a school that probably doesn't have a ton of money, got FAU to the Final Four. Coach B, I got to find out about this guy.
Well, he's been very impressive, and it came out of nowhere. And to be able to take a team that has no history and nothing about that program speaks to the upper echelon of college basketball, and yet they were able to win games when they were underdogs and climb all the way to the Final Four. Unbelievable.
Number 2 is a name that a lot of Vandy fans are talking about. Chris Mack, when he was at Xavier, went to 9 different NCAA tournaments. Coach B, I know what I've heard at Louisville, but this guy had a squeaky clean image before that.
Well, he's a perfect example of a guy that finds him a university on the river, and that's a term you haven't heard a lot about, but that's historically has been the Ohio River, up and down the Ohio River, and all parts near that have been a hotbed of basketball for college players for a long time. And Chris Mack at Xavier in Cincinnati was able to run a great program. What happened at Louisville could happen to anyone, because I could tell a story about Denny Crum and why he took the Louisville job when he was offered the job at the University of a lot of states and turned them down, and why he went to Louisville. But I can't mention those things on this show, because the FCC would probably dump you for having me on. That's an intriguing tease there, but it's the absolute truth. I heard him say it in Freedom Hall several years ago on why he took that job over a lot of more attractive looking jobs along the way. Because Denny Crum was offered just about every job in the country for several years, and he ends up at Louisville, and of course his record there speaks for itself.
The third is Casey Alexander, who, because of a series of reasons, may not be as hot a candidate as he would have been a year ago. But Coach B, the job he's done with Vanderbilt transfer Malik Dia speaks volumes that he might be a really good fit.
Well, Malik has not always been a prince of a guy to coach. However, I think the way you approach that, and I've seen Casey and his assistant coaches, how they have really decreased the number of incidents that some people call coach killer plays. And Malik didn't always have the direction and understanding of his role, but he has gotten better and better as the year gone on, and he would be a great player in the Vandy system right now if he were in there.
The fourth one is Richie McKay at Liberty. You might remember several years ago, he came into Memorial Gym and did a number on them. Been a coach not only at Liberty twice, at New Mexico, Colorado State, Oregon State. He's been all over the place.
Richie McKay is a class person. He's got the highest integrity. He knows the game well. He communicates very well with players. And I've always been a big fan of him and how he runs his programs.
Fifth name is one that a lot of you have not heard. Alan Huss at High Point. High Point is where Tubby Smith ended his coaching career. They're 18-4 this year. Among their victories, they beat Illinois State, but they've also beaten 2 teams that Jerry Stackhouse couldn't. Western Carolina and Presbyterian. Coach B, I'm told, need to pay attention to this guy.
Well, and that's right down the road from Rick Barnes' territory also. Western North Carolina has always been a really good place for coaches to emerge from and go on to have great careers.
Number 6 is a guy that should understand the kind of school he might be coming to if he came to Nashville. Mitch Henderson's the coach at Princeton, was a former player there. Coach before that, he spent 11 years on Bill Carmody's staff at Northwestern.
The Princeton offense has been pretty popular in different versions of that because of the cerebral type players that need to be involved in that team that runs that offense. It has a lot of keys to it, a lot of backdoor cuts, really difficult to guard those teams that run that offense.
The 7th name is one that has been rumored at Vandy in 2 or 3 different searches. Tommy Amaker is at Harvard. He was great at Seton Hall, bombed out at Michigan, done very well at Harvard. Give me some thoughts.
Well, I think he's a class man. He's a excellent coach, great guy to be around, great guy to talk to. He has a great ability to get the most out of his players, and I don't think anyone who's ever known Tommy would dispute that.
Okay, the last one, Coach B, you saw last night. This is Indiana State's coach, Josh Schertz. And I'll admit, I don't know a ton about him, but they are 10-1 in a really good league, the Missouri Valley. They lead that league, although they may be stuck in a deal where they got to win the tournament to guarantee it. Coach B, the thing that impressed me last night, they were down 28-10, and they had a chance to get run out of the gym. And instead, like Alabama yesterday, they sort of bowed their neck and came back and won.
They did, and Belmont kind of ran out of steam there. I thought they had a great game plan. They did what they had to do to get that lead. I was at the game, and one thing they were patient when they were behind. Belmont made everything they threw up there early on and got that lead, but you always felt like Belmont was still the underdog just because with Jacoby Gillespie out of the Belmont lineup, it really, really affects them. It's to me, having Jacoby Gillespie out of your lineup is like Darius Garland leaving the Vandy lineup because of his injury, and I think the 5th game of the year that year. And you see what he's doing in the NBA. So Indiana State and Drake are both very, very well coached teams, very well in the middle of all that geographic territory we were talking about.
Okay, Billy, you want plaster bet of the day?
Let's do it.
Okay. If you were going to put down money when they fire Jerry Stackhouse, are any of the 8 I named going to get the job, or is it the field?
Ooh.
Oh, you'd always go for the field, probably with that many people out there. And I said this to someone a couple weeks ago, and I think they almost laughed at me. But and I have I'm very knowledgeable about this next guy I was going to mention, but he grew up in the area of independent basketball when AAU was really coming in, taking over. He knows that well. He has great connections, a great communicator. And I think Drew Maddox was a guy that will be given some consideration, who obviously would really rally around the older players and the people who've been involved in this program for a long time, but an excellent basketball coach.
Okay, Billy, those 8 or the field?
I might have to go field.
Great.
But those are really good options.
Well, look, there are other names out there, and I don't want anybody to think that, my 8 is some perfect deal. It's not. It's just simply 8 that are out there as talking points. But again, Before we go to the break, I'm going to make clear one thing. I am not going to insult people's intelligence. We know what needs to be done. They have to make a change. Kelly Holcomb and Ron Bargatze are coming up next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Okay, it's time for Kelly Holcomb to talk with his new best friend, Ron Bargatze. Kelly, the floor is yours.
George, I didn't get to voice my opinion, though. I mean, is it the field or is it these 8 coaches? I mean, what, do you care?
No, tell me what you think.
I think you got some really good coaches here, but I think that if Candace Lee or if somebody from the Vanderbilt knows that you put these out there, they have no shot. So I'm going to field.
That's a good line.
I can tell
That
you,
is a good line.
There's 8 guys that are not going to get the job.
Here are the 8. Here are the 8.
Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Well, I don't know if I can follow that up. I'm losing my voice, obviously, here. But is Calipari on the hot seat?
Any coach at Kentucky is on the hot seat constantly, whether they're winning or not. But I'll tell you, if you watch the crowd in the latter part of the game against Florida last night, it was pretty amazing to me. There were people looking around. They wanted to blame someone But Coach Cal, as they call him, he's not going anywhere until he wants to. But boy, that was a tough loss. Going into Rupp and winning, it says a lot for Florida, and it says enough about Kentucky to make the old Big Blue fans a little concerned.
Well, we've talked a bunch on this show, and we have Tony Basilio, and we've talked a bunch about Dalton Knecht. He's a really good player. I've seen him a couple of times, but it seems to me, and I brought this question up the other day, and I want you to answer it. Like, when they go into tournament, I mean, and Rick Barnes has struggled in the tournament. We all know that. I think he's a really good coach. I think he does it the right way. But it seemed like the other night, everybody was standing around watching to see Dalton Knecht, see if he's going to score some points. I mean, at some point, somebody else is going to have to step up, don't you think?
Absolutely. No question about it. He's averaging over 30 points a game for the last 6 games, and he's phenomenal. I think he's easily the SEC Player of the Year as we stand right now. But it can get that way because everybody knows their role. But Vescovi is a really, really talented player, and he seems a little hesitant to look for the shot or to take some shots, and he needs to score. They need to go inside to Adu and get some stuff out of him to balance out what's happening there. JJJ is a man that's got a lot of ability. 2 years ago, I thought he would be kind of like Knecht is right now, but he had that injury last year, missed a lot of time, and he's only a shadow of himself. And I love the fact that they've got the new kid coming off the bench, Gainey, who is an excellent player. So there's a lot of firepower there, learning how to use them in certain situations, how the other team is defending you. There are a lot of things you have to consider there. But I think if Dalton Knecht could get 17, 18 shots a game, that he would shoot 65% thereabouts, and he scores in so many different ways. He's fun to watch. And, let's don't panic on them yet because the way it is now, South Carolina deserves a huge amount of credit. Unbelievably higher in the rankings than we thought. I think everybody around here would have had them in the bottom 3 or 4 going into the season. And there they are up in second place and really making some noise. The win at Thompson Bowling is really impressive.
Well, I heard y'all. You made me think of something because Lamont Paris, the coach there, has done a really good job. But it looks like that he's taken a bunch of transfers from the Southern Conference, and y'all were talking about mid-major guys at Vanderbilt. But it looks like he's taking a bunch and he's winning at South Carolina. Am I correct?
Well, let me tell you, the number one recruiting ground for the big division, the Power 5 conferences, is the mid-majors. There are a lot of guys in mid-majors who are plenty good enough to play and win with, but they got overlooked. They came in to develop more, became better players. So now it's a matter of it's a matter of protecting your players. Belmont's got 2 sophomores this year, Jacoby Gillespie and I've gone blank all of a sudden. He's from South Carolina. The kid, very, very good player. Rookie of the year last year in the league. Had a great game last night. But he didn't get. I think he needs to shoot more. But sometimes he doesn't look as hard for his shots as I think he should. But I'm sure Casey would rather have him shooting some of those key shots than some of the other players who are probably not quite as deadly as he is. But mid-majors are a recruiting ground for the big schools for sure.
So you've had another week to watch all these SEC teams. Just give me a rundown of what you think. I mean, it looks like Alabama's coming to the forefront. They're playing really good. I mean, they've only lost one game in the conference. You got all these other teams behind them. Obviously, you got Tennessee. What is your rundown of the SEC so far after one more week?
I think the win that Alabama had over Georgia was big for them because Alabama sometimes have not been really good coming from behind. Georgia, on the other hand, have lost big leads in games to lose games. So you got to worry about that a little bit for them. But Auburn, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Florida, all these teams are in the bottom half of the top half of the league, and but any of them could go on a run, win 4 or 5 games, and really challenge Alabama for that top spot.
Listen, let's go ahead and put you on the spot.
Okay.
Y'all talked about Vanderbilt a bunch. Does Jerry Stackhouse get fired at the end of the year, or does he make it at the end of the year?
Well, I think Vanderbilt athletics are a head scratcher in a lot of ways, because depends on who's on first, type thing. Who's making the decisions? Where's the pressure coming from? Right now, are there enough people who really care about the program to go to the mat to try to get changes made if that's what they want to do? It's hard to say how much longer things can go well. Candace made a great hire in Shay Ralph. She's done a great job with the women's program, but it's been a real kind of a bottom falling out for the men's program.
George, back to you, brother. I'm good.
Oh, I like that. Coach B, let me excuse me. Let me ask you this, because you kind of brought it up. Deermeyer, the chancellor there, to me has become a wild card. He talked a good game early about athletics, but I never see the guy.
Well, I had a chance to meet him at an event there back in the late fall, and it's the only time I've ever talked to him. But he certainly knows how to say the right things. It's going to be very interesting to watch him and how he handles the flagship programs on West End, and that is football. Can football make any difference? Can they make any kind of breakthrough in this world of NIL and transfer portal? Can they shake whatever's going on in men's basketball and be competitive? Vandy's probably got a pretty good chance to beat Missouri. Probably the best team, the chance they have the best team getting a win against. So I don't know. I think we're going to find out just how involved Deermeyer is, and if he's reading the tea leaves, and how he'll react to all that.
Okay, there's this small group, obviously, and you're kind of part of that group, that is very angry about how this has been allowed to disintegrate. If they come with an announcement, and again, I guess I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, because I've earlier said I'm not going to play this game. We know what needs to be done. What level of anger if they don't?
I don't know. I think, and I've mentioned this on this show quite a bit, and that, the how much do I care department is really a big factor here. There seems to be more apathy around the men's basketball program than I've seen in my lifetime. And I felt sorry for Bryce Drew, because he had one player that had to stay healthy for them to win, and they couldn't do it when Darius Garland got hurt. But there's less excitement and less involvement in the program. And so the how much do I care department right now has got to be a big factor there.
I appreciate your taking the time to come on as always. We knew today would be spicy. We still got 6 weeks left.
Well, go Doors.
Thanks, Coach B.
All right. See you guys.
After the break, we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day and the 2 games kind of close to here. Stay with us. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Final segment on a Thursday. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on, bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out last night. You got Belmont, but Cats lost.
C-A-T-S. Cats. Yeah. God. That one shocked me.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Who amongst us thought Florida would win at Rupp?
It tells you about how deep this league is, too.
That they're good enough to
They're at
do
home.
it.
Yeah. They were at home. I can't believe it.
The Commonwealth is a buzz. Probably protests all over the place. Okay, so let's get to tonight. We're going with 2 games. Kelly, I'm trying. It's not easy. Morehead State's at TSU tonight. Morehead State's the best team in the OVC. I'll be real interested to see what level of pushback Brian Collins and Tennessee State can give Morehead State. Right now, Morehead State looks like the team out of the OVC that will end up in the big dance, but you got to win the postseason tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Morehead's the one that's benefited by Murray and Belmont getting the hell out of there and going to the Missouri Valley. Here's the other one.
Yeah, I feel like Kermit Davis was, that's why he went to Ole Miss from Middle, because he had to, he won the regular season conference, but he didn't win the tournament. He never went. That's why he went to Ole Miss.
Here's the other one. 60 miles to the north, I'm going Hilltoppers. -5 against Sam Houston. What do I know about Sam Houston's baskets? Not a ton. Not a ton, I'll be honest. However, I have actually seen 2 minutes of a home game of theirs. Very interesting gym. Not a big one. Not a big one.
As long as they fill it and make a bunch of racket, who cares?
So, Kelly, you're taking the field. Billy, you're taking the field.
Yep.
Okay.
You had some really good coaches, though, man. I looked at all of them. Like I know the guy that coaches at Liberty, man. He's really good. He's really good. And I don't know if he'll want to leave there to come here because he's got a really good gig at Liberty, and they got a really nice facility that's 4 years old now. I think it's beautiful up there. He's really good. You got some dudes that are on there, so. I was just busting your chops that if somebody sees that, they're not going to interview these guys. But you got a really good a group of 8 there that's pretty good.
That's the other question. How many of those guys would tell Vandy no? You know, like how just
I would assume Chris Mack wouldn't. Look, under the category of what advantage is there to doing this now? You know, if they decided now, look, a change is necessary, you know, you could do it effective at the end of the year and have him be a lame duck for 6 weeks, or you could go ahead and do it and just say, look, we'll go with one of your assistants. But the advantage to doing it now is that you can check in with these people and or their representatives and get some real groundwork laid.
Yeah.
You can talk to Chris Mack right now, who's not in coaching at this moment, but is a pretty damn good basketball coach.
Yeah.
George, Billy, I got to ask y'all a question. What does being a private school, how does that affect the portal and it doesn't affect the portal, but NIL money? How would that affect? Does that affect it at all?
In terms of NIL, it's about the collective. You know, I mean, you've seen, you know, some private schools have really strong collectives. I just think it's about the desire of the you know, the boosters and the fans that step up.
Kelly, the bigger question is an extension that Jerry Stackhouse got that he was completely undeserving of. Should not have been given that. And what are the ramifications of that? You know, does it make it harder to buy him out? Does, you know, what are the ramifications of that extension? Well, a private school can keep that a lot more quiet than a public school, which kind of has to release all that stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that is a consideration. And they probably should have brought that up earlier. Again, I'm not going to debate this. When you're 0-7 in the conference in your 5th year, there's nothing to talk about.
I agree, but crazy things happen nowadays, George. You know that.
Well, look, if I thought this team had the ability to run off a streak that could allow you to say, well, now, wait a minute, let's be fair here. I just don't see in that roster anything outside of maybe Missouri that I can sit there right now and say, yeah, they got a really good shot of winning.
Yeah.
It is going to be a crazy 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I know you're gone tomorrow. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
See y'all. Be good.
Billy, you will be here.
Yes, I will.
So will I. Hope all of you will join us. Thanks for being with us.